What's up? I'm back. It's the month of May, and I'm liking the weather. The weather is actually bringing up my vibes a little bit more. I'm getting into a better position in terms of life. I like life a little bit more, because the sun is out and it's still out, even though it's around 6 o'clock. Usually around 6 o'clock it would be dark, but now it's a lot of light. So I'm a little bit happy about that. But still, there's things I need to do. First of all, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I am going to be in the PhD program at my university that I've done my bachelor's and master's in. So that's very exciting. And I think that it's a really unique journey for someone to stick it out until the end. I haven't experienced anyone do that. So this is going to be the first time for me, at least, doing this, or anyone that I know doing this. And then I also have to remind myself that before I start this PhD journey, I have a couple of things to do. So, first of all, I have an album that I'm going to release next month. And this album is called Tired of Everything. I'm still working on it, meaning I have to work on the music, work on the vocals and all that stuff. But I'm literally complete with the project. I completed the project last month, so I'm good with that. I also got to keep on studying for the FE exam. The FE exam is very intense, and I need to make sure that I pass the exam. I've been talking to a couple of people about it, but I need to really be extremely disciplined about studying for the exam and making sure that I have time to study for it. I also have a book. I'm going to work on this book next. I was about to say next week, but I'm going to start working on the book tomorrow, or at least tonight. Sometime tonight, I'm going to work on the book. Get it done. Get it all the way done, because that's one thing that I'm going to knock off the table. Like I've mentioned before, my particular plan is to not worry about all these things when I go ahead and work on my PhD. When I work on my PhD, I'll be working on one activity, and that one activity is going to be my book that I have. But otherwise, no music, nothing else. We're just going to fully focus on the PhD because I want to get through it in 3 years. I know 3 years is a very tough, difficult endeavor, but I want to get through it in 3 years. And I'll put in a lot of effort in order to do that. It's tough. Not a lot of people do it, so that's why I have to do it to prove to my family. So, yeah, that's ultimately what I want to do. Um, I'm just really excited about this part of my life. And I just hope things can get better. But I know things have to get worse in order to get better. Sometimes you have to go through the struggles and the the hurt and the pain of experiencing life in order for things to get better. So that's where I am right now. I have to go through experience and harsh life experiences. I mean, ultimately, I have a few things that I keep in the back of my mind. First of all, I gotta stay true to myself, which means I gotta work on myself. And that something that's something I have to do every single day. And it may take me a longer period of time to get through working on myself, but I gotta work on myself and make myself better. Um, and then also, not only do I have to work on myself, but I gotta help everyone around me, friends, family, whatever. I gotta work on helping them. I mean, I don't have any friends, like I've said many times before, but I gotta help people around me. Um, I gotta help um, even my enemies get into a better space. You know, sometimes this was the one thing that I was worried about this whole month. You know, I just don't want my enemies to prosper more than me. And it's hard to know who your enemies are, but your enemies are people who will put you in a bad state and do something that you will regret. One enemy, took advantage of me by allowing me to, well, not allowing me, but wanting to take money from my pocket. That was a big regret. Another regret that I've experienced from a person is taking advantage of all this stuff. Yes. Yeah, I will. Hold on. Sorry about that. Um, so another person basically wanted to know too much about me to the point where I overexpose certain parts of myself. And that's another regret that I've experienced in my life. Um, Putting too much out there for people to ultimately either do what I'm doing or just use that against me, you know? So that's ultimately what happened. But yeah, I'm thankful that things are perfectly going in the right direction. You gotta manifest sometimes. You gotta know that things are gonna go right and go in the right way that you would want it to go. You gotta manifest that. So that's all I really wanted to say. Um, I hope things go well for other people, but I really need things to go well for myself. I really need it at this particular point. Um, and I'm gonna take the FE exam, preferably in 2 months. So we'll see how that goes. But that's all I have to say, I guess.